Hey guys, just wanted to make a quick video regarding stat settings and how to do the whole stretch res thing because I've gotten a couple people ask me how to do stretch res. And in my beginner video I showed how to set your refresh rate monitor, but I didn't show how to do stretch res. Unfortunately, I'll only be able to show how to do it on an NVIDIA card, so if you have an AMD card, you'll have to look up how to do this still. But just a quick overview here. Especially if you're newer to the game, this is where you can see, stats, weapon stats. You can see what weapons doing best for you and whatnot. I'm just showing this too because I've had a lot of people ask, like, what's a good KD or something like that, right? Especially because, like, we've had people that are, like, wanting to get into pub sponsors, like, what's your, like, KD requirement? And technically, this is just kind of, it's more of just a community thing, right? So I put 0.01 KD. It doesn't really matter to me as long as, nice person, decent shot would be nice. But yeah, it doesn't really matter. Basically, if your KD is over 1, you're more effective, like you're getting more kills than dying, so you're doing good for your team. You're technically achieving a helpful status, I'll say. But that doesn't mean under 1 KD isn't an effective player either. There are probably a lot of people that have an under 1 KD that have, thousands of capture points or flag captures, or, maybe they died 5 rounds straight in S&D but got the plant 5 times because they took a risky route to get the plant down and got it and then died planting, basically, right? So I think under 1 you can still be effective. Over 1 you're doing more for your team. You're not letting the other team farm you. And you're still basically an effective player, right? But yeah, that's stats. Over here, my actual settings. This is my in-game settings I've been using for, I would say, most of my Ironsight career. So this is the stretch res I use. I think it's the perfect balance of a little bit of stretch, but not sacrificing clarity too much. So in a bit, I'm going to show you how to do the 1728 by 1080 specifically. You can try it out. This is what I've shown to a lot of people. They also like this resolution. I think it's perfect. I've tried going back to play 1920 by 1080 just for science, and it's like I can't even look at it anymore. Not in this game, at least. I love just having a slight stretch for these like fast-paced arcade shooters. Other things like maybe Call of Duty, debatable stretch res. Everything else I usually play native though, unless it's like Counter-Strike. But these are my settings here. So quality on custom, field of view. You always want to have that maxed out. You don't want to handicap yourself by not being able to see things that other people technically see, right? If you have a wider FOV, someone's off to your right, someone's off to your left, you can legitimately see them. And if you have this lower, you actually couldn't see them. So always keep that cranked. This stuff I keep default. Obviously FPS, you want your slider maxed out. Advanced settings, I just have texture on high just because I want to see my weapon skins. Technically you don't need this. This is what really is going to make your game look, really good or really bad. All the rest of the stuff I turn completely off. Even on I have a 9900K 2080 Ti system, and I still lower absolutely everything. And this is just so I get the max amount of FPS possible, right? Like we know gas station on frontline is a little bit lower FPS, so I want to be able to maximize FPS at every given moment for less input delay, smoother experience. So if you have these graphic settings on, I'd recommend trying to turn them off. And then seeing if your FPS gain is more noticeable for you. Obviously on a 144 Hz or 240 Hz monitor, it's going to be a lot more noticeable. But even if you have a 60 Hz monitor, if you have 60 FPS on a 60 Hz monitor, it's not as good as 100 FPS on a 60 Hz monitor. You'll have less input delay with more frames. That's just how it is. All right, next is just my keybinds, and it's pretty basic. The only thing I have changed is jumping. I use jump as a scroll wheel down in this game, kind of like a Counter-Strike, and it makes bunny hopping a little bit easier. At least for me it does. Also I use like shift, scroll, right click, and I do like a sprint bunny hop type of movement to like check around walls and whatnot. But yeah, my binds are pretty much all default controls in all honesty. There's nothing really. I use C crouch, left control prone. Everything's pretty much default. I also have a melee button bound to one of my mouse buttons just for knifing. But yeah, that's it. Just a knife button and jumping. That's all I have different. Nothing too cool here. And then my sensitivity, This is the sense that I found has worked. I've stuck with this one for a long time now. 800 mouse DPI on 5.7 cents and 1 scoped in sense. Basically, I can still stay pretty steady at range, but I can also do a 180 when I need to with the sensitivity. I believe it equates to approximately 10 or 12 centimeters of distance to do a 180 and about 16 to 18 to do a 180 while ADS. So that's what I use. I also carry this across from game to game using a website called mousesensitivitycalculator.com. So let me just go pull this up here for you guys. Okay. So if I go here, mousesensitivitycalculator.com, and this is how you can take your sensitivity from one game to another. So in here, for instance, I'll just give one example. So I'll change it from inches to centimeters. I'll put in down here, I'll put in my mouse DPI as 800. I'll put in my game here as Ironsight, and I'll go sensitivity 5.7. And then you can put in your monitor and stuff, but it still spits out a sensitivity with just the DPI and the in-game. And then I can do like convert to, let's do like Call of Duty, Black Ops Cold War, and boom, I can see that I need to set my sensitivity to about 8.6, and then that would basically equate to my Ironsight sensitivity. So if you haven't heard of that website, give it a shot. I always recommend in FPS games, especially if they're all kind of fast-paced FPS games, to use the same type of sensitivity from game to game, so that way you can continue to build muscle memory. So here, I'm going to show you how to do the stretch res. So if you click in here, click in your NVIDIA control panel, again with AMD, I'm not 100% sure, but NVIDIA control panel, pop up here. First thing you're going to want to do, change resolution tab off to the left here, alright? Change res, and then from here you can click on customize. Once you get here, I already have mine set in here. You don't have to have your desktop resolution set to this. It will pick up in game once you do it here. You can't just throw any custom res down and it's going to work in game. It has to correspond with the correct aspect ratio that the game supports. So 1720 by 1080, I think it's a 16 by 10 if I remember correctly. Either way, down here, customize, create custom res. This is where I set mine 1728. So if you wanted to use my exact one, you would hit 1728 and leave vertical, right? So that's going to basically squish it a little bit. Refresh rate, obviously, match it with your monitor. It should be by default. I have a 240 hertz monitor, so 240 is coming up there. You'd hit test. I wonder what happens here. I already have it. Yeah, I already have it. So hit test, apply, cool stuff, and then it will pop up here. We can hit OK on that. Once you have your custom resin, you're going to need to come down here. There's another step. Adjust desktop size and position, because in game, even if 1728 by 1080 shows up, once you get in the game, in the menu, it's not going to look any different. And then once you get into the game, it's either not going to look different or you're going to have black bars. It's just going to shrink everything in because it's set to, aspect ratio or not scaled. So you need to make sure that this is set to full screen and then apply it. So again, change resolution, create your custom res, come down here, force full screen scaling or it will not pick up in game. Once you have these, reboot your game in Ironsight. And then you should be able to see your custom res there. After that, make sure you select the custom res with the highest refresh rate to match your monitor. And then that's pretty much it. So, yeah, hopefully this helps somebody, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.